Welcome to the Healing While Discovering Yourself podcast. I'm your host, Andrea Michelle. I'm an intuitive transformational coach, certified life coach, certified NLP practitioner, and speaker. I've spent the last 22 plus years helping myself and my clients learn how to create their own happiness and live more abundant lives. In this time, I've also overcome and healed from child sexual molestation, a compulsive eating disorder, hunger, and homelessness. Now it's your turn to move forward with your life and heal from childhood traumas or past experiences. In this podcast, I'll share how I was able to overcome all of my past struggles, as well as my personal stories of overcoming jealousy, loneliness, resentment, and bitterness, and how I learned to forgive. I'll also help you explore your shadow self, deal with having low or no self-esteem, and address feelings of not being worthy or loved. Using my personal experiences and extensive training, as well as stories of grief, loss, depression, and anxiety from my guests, I'll help you change your life and finally heal. Hey, loves. Welcome back to another episode of the Healing While Discovering Yourself podcast. And if you are new around these parts, welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so glad you decided to come. Whether you are new, whether you are returning, I am so grateful for your presence. Every time you hit play, you download, you subscribe, you tell a friend, you rate, you review. I am so grateful for that because I know that there's so many amazing podcasts that you can truly be listening to. And so the fact that you choose to listen to this one is extremely humbling and is the reason why I continue to show up week after week to provide you with advice and tips and tools to help you on your very own healing and self-discovery journey. So thank you so much for being here. And, I just want to reiterate that the purpose of this podcast is really to help you move forward while you are in the process of healing. And I don't know how many of you know this, but I am a trauma sensitive coach and I am actively pursuing my trauma sensitive coach certification. And so what that means is not only am I qualified to help you heal from your trauma, but I'm actually taking the next steps to get the proper education so that I can provide you with the most up-to-date information. And then also just want to let you know that I have been contemplating whether or not I wanted to go back to school because I have my MBA, Master's of Business Administration, and I spent 15 years successfully climbing the corporate ladder as a corporate controller, which is an accountant. Of course, I didn't start out as a corporate controller. I actually started out as a cash control coordinator, which is really like the lowest level, but that's okay. It's not where you start, it's where you end. And once I graduated with my MBA, which actually is 10 years ago, I was like, I am done with school. I am never going back to school. I finished my thesis, which was like 80 something pages long. And then I think when you added the citations, it brought it up to like 90 something. I don't remember. It was well over 10 years ago. So I don't remember the specifics. But anyway, I was like, at that time, I said, you know what? I'm done with school. I've got nothing else to prove, if you will. And there's no reason for me to go back to school. I'm not going to get, a PhD in finance or accounting or anything like that. That's just stupid. And I thought I was done. However, 2 years ago, at the time of this recording, it's almost exactly 2 years ago, I decided before 2 years ago, but 2 years ago, almost to this day, I actually worked my last day in corporate America. And so I've been an entrepreneur, a coach full time for, nearly 2 years. And of course, in that 2 years, where I started out is not where I am today. And that's okay, because when we're doing something, when we travel on our journey, there's going to be multiple iterations of who we are. And because our business is only an extension of us, there's going to be multiple iterations in and of our business. So where I started out, talking about happiness and bliss, and I had another podcast, Finding Bliss. And then as I continued on my own healing and self-discovery journey, which I am still on, by the way, and I think that it's necessary to be healing actively something because, life happens to all of us, and people are going to say things and do things to us. They're going to be mean to us. They're going to offend us, and they may not do it on purpose. It may not be intentionally, but we're going to feel some kind of way about it. But if we remain open and receptive to healing, then we learn not to take things so personally. And so I am proudly proclaiming that after 22 years, I am still on the healing and self-discovery journey, and I don't have a problem with that. And so as I traveled on this journey and I realized what my true life's calling is, what my purpose is. And it really is holding the space, creating a safe space for high achieving men and women to heal from their trauma while they're still moving forward. Because in case you can't tell, I'm a high achiever. And what I started to say about that is I decided to go back to school to pursue my PhD in developmental psychology. And I think it's vitally important for me because I want to live a life in alignment and one that is in integrity with my purpose, with my soul's mission, with my soul's journey. And for me, that means providing the best information that I can so that my clients, so that I, number one, can continue on the healing journey. And number two, so that my clients and my family and my friends, so that I can serve them to the best of my ability. So I've decided to go back to school to pursue my PhD in psychology. So y'all stay tuned, right? Because in a few years, I will be Dr. Andrea Michelle. And I'm so excited about that. My vision is so broad. I have this huge vision. Before I said that, I want to impact 1 million people. And as I sat and I removed all the limitations and said, what is the best case scenario? And it was like, not millions, billions of people. And it's kind of scary, but you know what? It is what it is. And also one of the things I want to say, because today we're going to be talking about always being protected on your journey in spite of your trauma. And so that's why I'm just giving you this background so that when I begin to speak about trauma and how you're protected, that you have a frame of reference and you know exactly where I'm coming from. And it's also important to note that just because you've experienced trauma yourself, it doesn't necessarily make you qualified to be able to help others heal from their trauma. Not everyone can hold the space when it comes to helping people, or not even helping people, because I believe that we heal ourselves. And I don't call myself a healer, but what I do and what I do very well is I hold the space so that the high achievers that I work with, because again, I'm a high achiever, that they can begin to see their lives and they can begin to heal themselves. I think that's one of the greatest gifts that God, source, Allah, Yahweh has given us, is the ability for us to heal ourselves, right? We don't need anybody to heal us. We can heal ourselves. However, we just need to be shown the way. And so I know that I have been called to be a way shower. I don't even think that's a word, but we gonna make it one. If it ain't, we gonna make it one. I'm a way shower. Not only because I have experienced my own trauma. And if you'd like to know more about my trauma, all you have to do is go back and listen to all the other episodes, because I'm pretty sure that in all of the episodes, I am pretty sure that I have probably touched on at least one traumatic experience in my life. And that's okay. I don't mind I don't mind being an open book because I feel that not many people share their stories to help other people. And then also part of the reason why people don't share their stories is not because they don't want to, it's simply because they haven't necessarily healed from it, right? And I understand that as a trauma sensitive coach, but I understand not everyone else gets it. And so I'm just saying, like, when people don't share, it's not because they're being mean or evasive or anything like that. They're probably still actively healing. And not only that, they don't have the words to even articulate what their experience is. Because when I am actively healing something, I don't talk about it. And the reason why I don't talk about it is not because I'm trying to hide something. It's because I'm still trying to process it myself. And there are a lot of people who are trying to process their own trauma and heal through unpleasant experiences. And you don't always have the words for it, right? So I said all of that to say that you are always protected on your journey in spite of your trauma, right? Because some of us have become distrustful on our journeys, based on our past trauma and life experiences. But it's important to know that, when you are, it's important to know that you're always protected, right? And you're always protected by source, by the universe, by God. And not only that, but you're always protected by your ancestors, by your angels, by your guides. And there are people in this physical world who exist to protect you. I did an episode on Your People Are Waiting for You. It was episode 16. Your people are waiting to support you. But the only way your people know how to support you is if you open up to them, right? Like, you have to be open and receptive to their support, even when you've experienced trauma, even when you've been hurt, right? But as I said before, I want you to know that you are 100% protected. I used to say that if you jump, the net will appear. But as I've traveled on my own healing and self-discovery journey, I now know that the net is always there. There is not one point in my life where the net has not been there, and there will ever not be a point in my life where the net is not there. I fundamentally believe that the net is always there. And the reason why I believe that we are always protected, the net is always there, is because we are not separate from God, but we are one with God. And if we are one with God, and if we believe that God is sufficient, that God is omniscient, that God is omnipotent, that God is omnipresent, that God is all things to everyone all the time, then we have to believe that the same attributes that is in God, those same attributes are also in us. And if you read the Bible, then you know that the Bible says that we were made in its likeness, in his likeness, and in his image. And also, for the record, I don't believe that God is a he. I also don't believe that God is a she. I believe that God is. God is our life force, and we use those pronouns he, she, him, her for our humanness. But I don't believe, at one point, I did believe that God was a he. But again, through spending time with God and source, I understand that God is not a he or a she, but that God is the energy, the life force that keeps everything going. And I say God because it's how I was raised. I was raised to believe that the life force name is God. And I understand that there are other people who were raised to believe that the life force is Allah. Other people, the life force is Jehovah. Other people, the life force is Yahweh. I don't think it matters what you choose to call your life force. There are people who are agnostic. They're like, take it or leave it. Right? There are people also who are atheists. No, definitely don't believe in the deity. But that's on them, right? So I'm not offended either way, right? But I just had to put that out there. And so the reason why you're always protected is because the same energy that exists within God, which is all the energy, which is everything, also exists in you. And so even though you have experienced trauma, and you've been betrayed and you've been let down by other people on this journey, it doesn't mean that you are not protected. It doesn't mean that you are not supported. Right? Those things, the things that happened to you, the things that happened to me were necessary for our journeys. And as a trauma sensitive coach, I have to be careful when I say this because I don't want people to think that I'm saying basically, get over it. It was supposed to happen. Everything happens for a reason. Because if you've been following me for any amount of time, then you know that I do not believe in spiritual bypassing or toxic positivity, right? And in my case, some of the things that I experienced, childhood molestation, the death of a sibling when I was, 4 years old, I can still see his body in a little teeny tiny casket, right? The divorce of my parents, hunger, poverty, homelessness, house fires, right? Violence, extreme violence, domestic violence. I've experienced it all. And I wouldn't wish any of that on my worst enemies. And I don't even have enemies. So I guess I wouldn't wish it on anybody. I just don't. I don't, some people say do it for the haters. Like I don't know who my haters are. I really don't give them any attention. So I mean, I guess I'm sure I have them because they say everyone has haters. But I don't know who they are. I don't know who they are, Jimbo. I don't. But we're always protected. And it's so important for us to know that. Everything that has happened to us, and I say us because, again, I have a life full of traumatic experiences. Everything that has happened to us, it has happened to make us stronger. And in acknowledging that these things happen to make us stronger, in acknowledging that, we should also express how we feel about those things, right? Anger, sadness, disappointment, frustration, betrayed, being okay that something happened to you, it doesn't mean that you're not going to feel all of the feelings, right? Like one of the stories that I always share, because it was such an eye-opening experience for me, was the first time I verbalized that I had been sexually molested. I never verbalized it to anyone. I never told anyone, right? And for a long time, I actually forgot that it happened to me. I'm not kidding. There was a period in my life where I completely forgot that it happened to me. It was like, it went where the unconscious mind took it, right? But then it surfaced in due time, in the time that it was meant for it to come up to be healed. And I was actually sitting with a therapist and I said, I don't know how to feel about this. I don't know if I should be sad, if I should be angry, if I should be mad, if I should be disappointed. And what she said to me was so empowering. And like I said, it was eye-opening because she said to me, Andrea, you can feel however you want to feel because it happened to you. And so if you want to be angry, if you want to be mad, disappointed, sad, you're entitled to feel that way. And I was like, But having her say that is what really opened up the door, because then I gave myself permission to sit with how I felt, right? And be angry at every adult in my life that didn't protect me. And then also what I realized is that in not necessarily dealing with that, I mean, how could I happen when I was like 7 or 8 years old? How does a 7 or 8 year old deal with something like that? Every decision that I made was through that lens. And so for a while, every decision that I made was through the lens of betrayal, hurt, violation, pain, because I wanted to protect me and prevent that from happening again. And it wasn't until I opened up, albeit to a therapist, it wasn't until I opened up that the healing began. And once the healing began, then little by little, I could tell pieces of my story. And every time I would share my story, two things happened. The first thing that happened is I met someone who could support me on my journey. And the second thing that happened was that someone always said to me, thank you for sharing your story, because part of your story is a part of my story. Right? And so it's important for you to know that even though you have been traumatized and you have experienced trauma, you're always supported. And I know the trauma has caused you to be distrustful, and I respect that. I do, because that was me. The beauty is that it doesn't have to be that way. And whenever you're ready to change and heal, you can do so. You can heal. All right. So I hope this was helpful. I hope it was insightful for you and really calmed the storm that may have been brewing inside of you. And just know that you're always protected. You're always protected, 100% protected on your journey in spite of your trauma, right? And so if you found this episode helpful, please share this episode with someone who you believe can benefit from it, right? If you know someone can benefit from what I've shared with you, then please share it, right? Let's normalize the healing process. I mean, that is like the reason why I'm so transparent and so open, is because it's my desire to normalize the healing process, that when we see people crying and processing, that instead of us being critical and judgmental, that we hold the space for them. So share this with someone who you know needs the space held for them. All right. And as I go, just know that the love in me salutes the love in you. Bye-bye.
Hey loves, are you looking for a safe place to hang out while you're healing with other like-minded individuals? If so, then I would love for you to join my private Facebook community called Healing While Discovering Yourself, named after the podcast. This community is for those who are truly seeking a safe place to heal and also show up authentically. If this interests you, then I'm going to invite you to go to Facebook/groups/healing while discovering. I look forward to seeing you in the group. Tony Robbins said, the quality of your life is a direct reflection of the quality of the questions you're asking yourself. And that's why I'm inviting you to download my free guide called 5 Powerful Questions to Ask Yourself to help you take back control of your life. In this guide, you will learn how to shift your mood, break negative thought patterns, and identify beliefs and stories so that you can explore the truthfulness of these stories. Go to andreamichelle.com/powerful to download this free guide today.